Welcome into Sports Talk at the Stadium. Kevin McCrary here at Williams-Brice Stadium. And I got to tell you, it's been a while since I've done a Sports Talk at the Stadium at Williams-Brice Stadium at night after a big South Carolina win. It's been a long time. The Gamecocks haven't had a night game since 2014 in Game 2 against Kentucky. They lost that game, and they haven't had a win here against a top 25 team since Georgia back in 2014 as well. Actually, it was 2015 when they played Kentucky, and then 2014 with that win over Georgia. But I digress. Forget the years, forget the dates. The only thing that matters is what happened tonight. And the Gamecocks showed a glimpse into the future, and boy, it looked pretty darn good. The offense didn't put up eye-popping numbers, but you could see in flashes what they have and what they are going to have going forward. What they have is Jake Bentley, a true freshman at quarterback who seems unfazed by anything that comes at him. Pocket really well, makes the plays when he has to. He protected the football again, and he has a bunch of young weapons around him. Rico Dowdle had over 100 yards rushing. You had Brian Edwards with another touchdown catch, 2 straight games for him. Deebo Samuel, not a freshman, but a second-year player. He had a big game, leading the way receiving with his 8 catches. Just an impressive performance with that young group right there. They did enough to score and of course, knock off the balls. The defense, meanwhile, they don't have as many first-year guys out there playing, but this is a revamped defense, a defense that Tennessee has chewed up and spit out the past 2 seasons. Tennessee's averaged over 500 yards, about 530 yards of offense against South Carolina the past 2 seasons. They didn't even crack 300 against the Gamecocks tonight. So a much improved defense for South Carolina. They got a night game. They had a crowd that was into it. They were partying like it was 2013 at Williams-Brice. And after so many bad things that have happened to South Carolina football over the years, the past couple of years, from Steve Spurrier quitting, the last time Tennessee was here when they had the big lead and Tennessee had done an onside kick and still didn't get it, and the Gamecocks found a way to lose that one. Spurrier walked out of the post game and said he didn't have to talk, didn't want to talk, that the media had seen it, and that was kind of, to me, the beginning of the end, maybe the true moment when you realize the Steve Spurrier era, that golden era that they had under Steve Spurrier, was over. Well, tonight, ironically enough, it might be a sign that the good days could be coming back sooner rather than later with those young guys that I mentioned, the defense that's playing with an attitude. This is a completely different team than we've seen the past couple of seasons. Not a team that lost to the Citadel, not a team that has not beat anybody in the SEC outside of Kentucky and Vanderbilt the past couple of seasons, only won 3 games last year. This is a team that looks like they have a chance to be pretty good, and a bowl game is now back on the table. And when I say pretty good, we're still looking down the road. I mean, this is a team that still has plenty of flaws. They picked up a great win tonight, but they still have things that they're going to have to work through. But they're working through them, and they're getting that experience. We can go ahead and close the book on the debate on whether it was a mistake or whether Will Muschamp made the right call to play Jake Bentley. He clearly made the right call. Jake Bentley has been a difference maker on that offense. He gave him that shot in the arm. And I remember doing a sports talk at the stadium saying the only way they should pull that red shirt off is if he could change the season. And he has. He has changed the season. And I was skeptical. It was a risky move, but it was the right move for Will Muschamp, because now he's getting a guy out there that's getting experience. Jake Bentley's only going to get better. He's going to start making those throws where he's taking those sacks, took 6 of them. He's going to get rid of the ball a little quicker. He's going to start figuring things out, see things, be able to check down, check off into new plays. And if this is the foundation for him, boy. And I mentioned Rico Dowdle with his 100 yards rushing, just a lot of really good signs on offense for South Carolina. And that's very encouraging. And they still have to recruit and bring in more talent, more playmakers, but they're finding some. Especially on that offensive side of the ball where it's been so bad. So I think this is a very impressive win that goes without saying for Will Muschamp. Top 25 win, a signature win, if you will. He has that now. That's a burden off the shoulders. They have Missouri coming in next week. Now, how do the Gamecocks respond? How do they handle the success? They have their first 2-game winning streak since 2014. The first 2-game winning streak for a lot of these guys, the first and second-year players. How are they going to handle the practice this week? A Missouri team that's down in the dumps. They lost to Kentucky today. They look like they're bad and beatable at Williams-Brice. That should be a winnable game if the Gamecocks show up, if they don't have a letdown, if they don't go backwards. They aren't good enough to not play well and win. So you look at that game, okay, that'd be 5 wins. You still have Western Carolina. A bowl's back in the picture for the Gamecocks. And we said at the beginning of the year, if this team wins 6 games, they go 6-6, that is an unbelievable year 1 for Will Muschamp, given what he's had to rebuild and what he is rebuilding, the talent level, which had dropped, especially in terms of proven playmakers. They weren't there. I think we're finding some now, and you're seeing those guys like Deebo Samuel, now that he's healthy, if he can stay healthy. Rico Dowdle, Jake Bentley certainly is showing that he's going to be a playmaker. Jamarcus King on defense, 2 interceptions. So a couple of big plays there by the defense who bowed their neck, didn't allow a 3rd down conversion in the second half. Mentioned that they only gave up 297 yards. So it was an impressive performance by the defense. It's a good all-around team win. Special teams, that 100-yard kickoff return, we're going to have to call out the special teams there. It's still some shakiness on the punt returns, not catching them and the ball bouncing inside the 10. But we can nitpick it all we want. There are still deficiencies for South Carolina. That's why they're 4-4. They're not a great team. They're trying to be a decent team. They're an improving team, and that's what you want to be as you turn the calendar from October to November. South Carolina is a better team as they go into November than they were when they went on the field against Vanderbilt. That's good. That's very good if you're South Carolina. Now they got to finish. They still have some tough games. They still have some really tough games. They have to go down to the Swamp and play a Florida team that easily handled Georgia. They still have to play Clemson, who's unbeaten, and so they're going to have some more landmines, but they have Missouri and they have Western Carolina. If they can win those 2, they're in great shape. It's been a great season, and they look like they have a chance to do that now. 3 weeks ago, going to that bye week, this wasn't a team that looked like they were going to do much of anything down the stretch, and this was not a game that anybody really expected them to win, present company included. I know diehard fans always expect a win, but I don't think many people were calling upset here. Maybe some people said, okay, they'll keep it within that spread, but not many people that I know at least were saying, I think South Carolina is going to win that game. They did. So a big step forward, and it shows that Will Muschamp is putting his stamp on this program. Will Muschamp had a lot of baggage coming in, fair or not, that he took from Florida, where people were wondering if he was going to be that same coach, or if he was going to improve, or if he knew what he was doing, if he was a true head coach.